On this week's show, we're going to be diving into what's going wrong at Wigan. We're going to look at the top 3 players of Super League this week, and Mickey McAloram's got a new job.
So welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders set of 6, our weekly news show where we share the good, the great and the noteworthy from outside the heartlands. Let's get into it. Absolutely dominant last year. Wigan absolutely cleaned up and won everything they could. Are they in a crisis at this moment in time, Karl? They've got a few losses on their record, and some people say it's not a good look.
Some people say, some Wigan fans won't say, don't throw me under the bus here, mate. I've been looking on some of the Wigan forums, and there's a lot of unhappy Wigan fans at the minute. Last few weeks, actually, last month, Wigan haven't really been performing to the high standards that we expect from the Warriors, have they?
No, they haven't. But I think, you're saying that a lot of Wigan fans are not happy. Wigan fans are fickle. They expect good things. Probably the most successful club in British, certainly in Super League history.
Yes, yeah.
So they've got big expectations. What I read from Matt Pete was, though, that they're much happier in defeat than the fans are. I think he's quite happy where he is this season. Of course, he would have wanted some of those games to be wins, but I think he's in a good spot. Second place, just 4 points behind Hull KR. And I think smarten up a couple of things, get his star players back, and I think he'll be ready. He'll be in a good spot when we get to the playoffs.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. You say get the star players back, and I totally get that. Bevan French, they lost field this week, didn't they, through HIA, so he ain't going to be playing at the weekend. However, if you look at the Wigan side that's on paper, that's gone out in the last few weeks, you would expect better of them. I genuinely think you would expect better of them.
Well, I mean, and this is what you're saying, isn't it? It's like the expectations of everybody else is far greater than the performances that they're putting on the pitch. The question is, are they in a crisis? Right? I don't think the wheels have come off that much. I think we might have some worn bearings. You know what I mean? The wheels are perhaps not turning as well as they could. There's a bit of friction in there, but I don't think it's like dire. I mean, let's look at Warrington. As an example. Now, that is a club where the wheels have come off. They're sitting right down there at the bottom of the table. Wigan are still second. I know. And I know I'm maybe over exaggerating this, the fact that I pulled this story out, but I've read a lot of Wigan fans really, really unhappy at the minute with how they've been playing. And they're sat where they are in the table. And yes, Wigan always have mid-season a little bit of a blip. And we always have a conversation like this every year in the middle of the year, going, "Oh, what's happened to Wigan? Have the wheels fallen off?" We know by the time they get to the playoffs, they just absolutely cruise it, don't they? They go up another level. But this is going on longer than a normal Wigan wobble would, if you see what I mean. Or certainly if you compare the last few years. I'll go through the last sort of results. So they lost 16-10 to Wakey. They beat Castleford. You could argue they shouldn't have won that. Yeah. That was very close. That was 20 points to 16. They lost to Lee. They were nowhere near the quality of Lee on that day. They beat Huddersfield convincingly, and then they've lost to Hull FC this weekend. Quite a heavy loss. It's not just a loss, is it? It's the manner in which they've lost some of these games, and it's the manner in how some of these players have actually been playing is what I question a little bit. Can you highlight any players, or is it just? Do you think it's more than one or two individuals?
I think it's kind of across the board, really. I'm going to throw something into the mix here. Harry Smith starts for England, yes or no, with George Williams?
Currently no. And I don't think George Williams starts either.
Right, well.
No, but because like they're just not playing. George Williams had a good game last week, all right, but he should be having excellent games week in, week out if he's the international captain. Do you know what I mean? Or if he's going to be in the starting line for England. Harry Smith is off. You know, it was a little bit loaded when I said, you know, is there any individuals? I don't think Harry Smith is playing quite as well as he has. I think, you know. And you mentioned...
Yeah. The reason I threw this up is that I pretty much, although I've made sort of all sorts of claims about who I think England's halfbacks are going to be this year, I've always thought, right, Sean Wayne is going to pick George Williams, he's going to pick Harry Smith. And actually, do I agree with it? Possibly. I think that's probably the most balanced halfback pairing that England are likely to go with this year. And I thought it was pretty much nailed on. But if you look at Mikey Lewis's performances and I compare them to Harry Smith's performances at the minute, I think Mikey Lewis is head and tails above Harry Smith at the minute.
Head and tails?
Head and shoulders above Harry Smith at the minute.
No, I completely agree. You know, I completely agree. I think he's a factor in one of the reasons why Wigan are having this blip. You know, let's call it, albeit an extended blip. I don't think he's the sole like contributing factor, but I think he's a big part of it. It kind of takes me back. There was a time pre-Samoa International when I kind of questioned Harry Smith's position in the England setup. Right, I really did. I remember having a conversation with you about it. Then he played in the Samoa series, didn't he? And he was brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I remember that little cross-field kick. It was just magic. Do you remember it? And, you know, and then from there, and then we listened to him into the post-match presser and just really good, solid head, was brimming with confidence, stopping short, you know, well short of arrogance. It was just really started to think highly of him. And it's almost like he's gone back a couple of levels.
But I think it's only recently. I think that there's been parts of this season where I've said that Harry Smith has been one of the best players in the league this year. But at the minute, I don't see it. At the minute, I'm putting Mikey Lewis in that England setup at the minute.
I mean, we're talking about players that are actually on the pitch there. There is a number of players that are not on the pitch. Bevan French, I think he's out for at least another 6 weeks, I think. Zach Eckersley is out. Abbas Miski. Faramund is out with a groin issue. I think Sam Walters is out. You know, so there is a sizable portion of the salary cap sat on the bench at the minute.
Yeah, I completely get that. Yeah, and you made a really good point. And how important is Bevan French to Wigan? They don't seem to be the same team without Bevan French. And I know they're not a one-man team. I completely understand that they're not a one-man team. But you take Bevan French out of any side in Super League, it's going to make a massive difference.
I think you're right. I think what's happening here is we're getting to a point where the non-Wigan fan are kind of going, right, let's just see where Wigan are come the playoffs. Come the end of the season, the business end of the season, let's see where they are.
Yeah.
I think it's different for the Wigan fan. The Wigan fan want that League Leader Shield. The very idea that Hull KR walk away with the League Leader Shield and the Challenge Cup is a massive thorn in their side. I know it is. You know, the Wigan fans that are my friends, you know, I keep them at arm's length because they're a bit smelly and that. But you know what I mean? They're just, the idea of that is just crackers. So they want more. But for me, I'm just like, they're having a blip. It's interesting. It throws up some interesting results at this point in the season. But let's see where they are at the end of the season.
Yeah, we're drawing to the same conclusion we draw to every year when we mention a Wigan crisis. We just go, yeah, but come playoffs, they'll just be fucking awesome again. So it don't matter. Let's talk about Christian Wade. Had an absolute shocker this weekend. First game he played for Wigan. Looked pretty good, actually. Ball in hand. He scored, didn't he, on debut? Absolutely rapid. Brilliant with ball in hand. Scored again this week. He put the ball in his hand. He's just another level, isn't he? I think he's going to be one of the best wingers in Super League if he can get a grasp on everything else that's going on. Because he had an absolute stinker this weekend. Certainly under the high ball. Aidan Caesar just made him pay all day long. And I have to question, I have to put it out there, is Christian Wade ready to be playing Super League?
Well, he's a long way from a a polished article in it. You know, like you look at some of the other wingers that Wigan have got, Liam Marshall, you know, to name one. Like his awareness, his positional, the way he supports, his ferocity, his support play, all those things are just bang on. And he'd walk into any team, I believe.
Yeah, I'll put this another way then, right? If Wigan hadn't spent the money they've spent on Christian Wade, would he be even in that Wigan starting lineup? No,
and I think there's two things that's holding Christian Wade in that team right now. One is a little bit of arrogance, like human beings have this desire to be consistent with their decisions, you know, and they've made a decision and they're running with it. Right. Then second thing is the sheer amount of money it would have cost to put him in a Wigan shirt. I don't think he's going to be cheap at all. And those two factors are keeping him in that side right now, because it's certainly not his performance. It can't be. You know, he's literally like 2% incredible excitement, 98% liability.
Yeah, and it's not because I don't doubt for a second that he isn't an absolutely brilliant player. I just don't think he's had long enough in rugby league to completely got a grasp of position in play and where he needs to be. And I think they haven't given him enough time. I think they've maybe injuries have forced that and they've shoehorned him in a little bit too early. But I'm sure they've got academy players and lads coming through the youth system that at this moment in time could probably teach Christian Wade a thing or two.
I'd like to see the post-match or the chat he had with Matt Peat at the end, because by all accounts he was quite apologetic over his performance. At which point Matt Peat said something along the lines, and I'm just completely making this. I'm not making it up, but you know, based on the comments that he made, he says, "Don't worry about that." You know what I mean? Just I believe in you. Let's keep on going. And all that. What that says to me, like, you can be apologetic, but then what you need to back it up with is, I can do better. You know, some self-belief. Look, you know, I'm learning. I'm learning the ropes. I can do better. You know, give me a chance. All that kind of stuff. I don't know whether he said that. You know, maybe people out there will have heard this conversation or whatever. I don't know. Because if he hasn't said that, like, he's doubting himself. You know, and once that little worm gets into your brain and you've had a bad game, you know what I mean, and that little worm gets into your brain and you're doubting your own ability, especially, you know, when other clubs, they're just going to follow suit now.
Oh yeah,
guess what happens next game?
Yeah, you know, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, so Luke Keary, where do you reckon that ball's going when they play Wigan on Thursday?
Yeah, and not only that, I think they'll target that channel all game, just like Hull FC did from the off. Hull FC thought they could sniff a weakness, and that's where they went, and they didn't change the game plan, did they? They just doubled down on it and went for him all game. So yeah, his next game, he's going to be under so much pressure, and whether that's this week or not, who knows? But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where we can go next week.
Well, I know it sounds like I'm kind of writing him off and, you know, telling him his crap shouldn't be in our sport. That's not what I'm saying. I want him to succeed. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people that want him to succeed in rugby league, because what a great story, you know, to have performed high-level rugby union, high-level NFL as a line-back running support working whatever.
You don't know
position.
What position he is, do you?
I haven't got a clue.
I don't know what position he played.
And then also to be, you know, to feature in the most dominant club of recent years, you know, as well, and if they go on and win some silverware this week, what just a great story that would be. But yeah, he's got some development to do. What do you reckon? Do you reckon he's in next week, or this week rather, or not?
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon he is.
Yeah,
and it's going to be intriguing to see how he goes, in all honesty.
How many hours of high ball practice do you reckon he's going to have gone through this week?
Tommy Luluai's just peppering him all weekend. He's like, right, you're doing two things this week: high ball catching under pressure and positional play on fourth and fifth tackle. I
mean, we're talking about like the expectations of the fans, but there will always be a certain amount of expectation for the player as well. Like the imagine walking into that environment, you know, the most dominant club, winning everything last year, and it's like, yeah, mate, here's your shots, away you go, and you're like, I'm new to this. No, you're playing. You're playing at the weekend.
Straight in.
I think he had like one reserve match, didn't he? Then he played his first match, did all right, and then got peppered this week.
Yeah, a couple of reserve games at best that I know of. Yeah. Anyway, Wigan, not in crisis. Let's move on.
Like, I think the best analogy I can make is the bearings are starting to creak and there's a bit of friction there. I don't think it's like time for a complete overhaul or that the wheels are going to completely come off. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. I might have made a little bit out of the headline just to make a bit of a talking point out of it, but I think you're right. I fully expect when we start getting to those playoffs, Wigan will be the team that everybody wants to be, 100%.
Clickbait Walker. That's what we're going to call you from here on in then. Right, let's move on to tackle 2 then. And you've picked out a number of players that have really caught your eye this week in the Outsiders Players of the Week.
Well, I just thought that the round 19 was such a great round for Super League, and there were so many players that had great games. I thought, I'm going to pick out my top 3 with a possible 4th.
God's sake. This is like when we used to do like set of 6
Yeah, I know.
we have like 7 or 8 tackles.
Yeah, but no one ever noticed.
They did notice.
They didn't.
We got called out every week.
They only noticed because you used to mention it every week.
Yeah, with I'd be like, right, on to tackle where?
It was the extra tackle.
That was it.
6 again. Right, in 4th place, he's not in the top 3. Tessie New thought he had an absolute cracker, so he's my outsider there. Right, number 3. Jaden Myers for Trinity. I thought he was brilliant this weekend. Johnston was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he got a spot in the team. He took his chance.
That was a late withdrawal, was it? It was something that happened.
Could have been, yeah.
In the training session before. Anyway, yeah, so last minute he was in the team.
Took his chance, scored 2 tries, and one of the tries I thought was just class, wasn't it? He faded to go one way. It looked like there was no room left on the pitch, and then he went back on the outside and just burnt everybody and caught everybody out. I've watched him play quite a lot, actually, when he was in the academy. He's a great player. He really is a great player. And I think we'll start to see more and more of him in that Trinity side now.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's really good.
Number 2, Joe Offengawe. I mean, did I pronounce that very well? Offengawe.
You did, but it just sounded like you'd had like a bottle of whiskey. Offengawe. Like you were pissed out of your face.
It's because I was doing my shouting voice again. What can we say about him? Double against Saints this weekend. Bloody brilliant, wasn't he? Absolutely brilliant.
The thing I've got to add here is he's just part of that Lee pack, isn't he? Which is just very, very dominant. Just plays so well. I'm surprised you hadn't had like Owen Trout in there because he...
Owen Trout could have been in there as well, but Offengawe has been better. He's arguably one of the best signings of the season, really, I think. I think Lee... The signings that Lee made this year have probably been as good as any team in Super League. I remember when we spoke about Lee at the start of the season, we weren't sure on how they were going to go. They lost loads of players, didn't they? Remember the big shipment out went to Hull? Yeah. And we was like, I don't know if Lee... but they signed some players that I didn't know that much about, and they've turned out to be just dynamite. Yeah, so he's my number 2 this week.
Well, you framed it as the signing was great. Is it the signing or is it the development of that player or the environment which is allowing that player to express themselves? I mean, there is a let's call it a unique environment at Lee, isn't there? You know, we've been and we've experienced it. You know what I mean? It's very, you can have a laugh, but when the boots hit the grass, we need to be serious. And I think it's just probably an environment that allows these players to excel.
Yeah, I think Adrian Lamb is a very smart coach, and I have him down as a bit of a Paul Rowley. He gets the best out of players that you wouldn't necessarily expect you to get. He gets the best out of players, just like Paul Rowley does at Salford. And I think he's made some great signings, and I think they'll continue to fly this season. Watch this space for Lee. I think as well as that, though, sorry, just to labour this point a little bit, is, the platform set by other players gives the likes of Offengawe, the opportunity to stand out, doesn't it? You mentioned Tess and you as well, outside your top 3, the Walker 3, and although he does some brilliant individual stuff, like the platform that's set by the team currently allows him to express themselves as well. So, yeah, really good. Right, number 1, player of the week, Aidan Caesar. Right. Instrumental against Wigan. Bossed that whole team around the field. Everything he did. I mean, it was like he had the plan written on his arm. It was like, right, I'm leading, everybody follow me. And he just led the team around the park so well. He spotted a weakness and he completely took advantage of it. and that's why Hull won at the weekend. I thought he was the best player in Super League in round 19.
Well, that's a strong shout. And have you been in touch with him to see, to tell him of his honourable?
Oh, I'm sure he watches the show, mate. I'm sure he watches the show.
Brilliant. No, really interesting. By the way, this isn't a one-way thing. All right, don't just sit there like some kind of weird voyeur. Make sure you get in the comments and give us your top players from round 19 as well, and the players that you're looking forward to seeing in this week's coming round. And also your comments on Wigan, because I didn't do this remember to comment thing in between. So remember that. Right, are we able to move on, Cal?
Yeah, tackle 3.
Tackle 3, championship now, all right? And the question I want to pose is, are we missing out on quite possibly the most exciting Super 8s we could have ever had in its absence?
Yes. I have nicked this story a little bit, and I hadn't nicked. Well, I hadn't nicked it.
Clickbait Walker. Here we go.
The game caller from Bradford, he'd spoken to a championship coach, and somebody said to him, "Look, this would have been the most exciting middle eights, Super Eights, whatever we used to call it, if we had that going this week." And I looked at it, I was like, you know what? You are 100% right. If you look at the teams who would have been playing each other this year in the middle eights, up for the £1 million game, it would have been absolutely quality. So the championship ladder at the minute, you've got Oldham in 4th on 22 points, Bradford Bulls on 24 points, Toulouse on 26 and York Knights on 26. I hope that table's updated because I seem to keep making this error week on, week out. That's off the BBC website, just in case anybody wants to pull me up on that. And then the bottom 4 teams of Super League, we've got Catalan, Castleford, Huddersfield and Salford. So my question to you, Craig, would those championship sides compete with those 4 Super League sides?
Let's go one-on-one with the Super League sides, right? We know the quality there in the Championship. All 4 of those teams, excelling in that league. Let's go one for one in the Super League. Starting off, Salford, right? There's something else to contend with here, and that is Salford are going to get some points deducted.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
But that doesn't affect the performance.
No, and I know... Well,
what would have happened if they'd have had a middle eight?
No, but you say what? You say, yeah, exactly. This is my point.
Would they automatically been in the £1 million game, finish bottom?
I don't know.
Well, it's gone anyway. It doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't matter.
No, it don't matter. But it's a factor. But also the demotivating effect. Imagine like you worked hard, you picked up 2 wins, you got 4 points. I think like Salford have got at the minute, and it's like no, you're having them. In fact, we're going to put you on minus. I think it happened to Bradford, didn't it? A few years ago, it ended up on like minus points or something. So that must have been demoralising, or that would have been demoralising. So I don't know what effect that would have. Who else we got? Bottom of you got Huddersfield. Yeah, they can definitely contend with. Compete with Huddersfield.
They can definitely contend with Castleford, and I haven't seen anything from Catalan this year that tells me those 4 championship clubs couldn't go toe to toe with those Super League clubs. Don't get me wrong, there will be a difference in class. You've got full-time professionals at the Super League clubs against part-time players in the Championship clubs. But I've seen enough this year from like York competed with Hull KR, didn't they, in the Challenge Cup earlier on in the year. I watched Bradford play Huddersfield at the start of the season, absolutely took them to pieces. I watched Salford have played in the Challenge. I think did they play Bradford? Yeah, they play Bradford. Castleford in the Challenge Cup. Toulouse are absolutely ripping it up. York are ripping it up. I think we're missing out on a great Super 8s this year.
Right, Carl, put them in position then.
Oh,
imagine
come on, man.
8-1, right? What teams you having where?
Oh, you're throwing me under the bus here.
Right, okay, first and last. Who would be first and who would be last?
I think Oldham would probably still be last.
You reckon?
Yeah. So I think Oldham are doing great. They've got some great players. They're not quite at that level yet. They're sat behind the other clubs in the Championship. I think Oldham would probably come 8th.
Right.
Top. This is difficult. This is.
Well, it's difficult without saying the Bulls, isn't it? That's what you're struggling with.
No.
Yeah. Come on.
I'm torn between. I'm actually torn between Toulouse. I mean, Toulouse lost.
No. I'm talking about like who in the 8 teams that you've mentioned, who would be the top of those 8 teams?
So you mean
including the Super League, the bottom 4 of the Super League?
So you want the top 8 in
Yeah.
order?
You refused to do that. So I said, right, well, just give me the number 8. Who's the bottom? You said Oldham.
Yeah.
Right now, who out of that? Imagine we played that Super 8s. Who would finish top of those 8?
Huddersfield.
You reckon?
Or York. Or Toulouse. I don't know. This is what I mean.
Not Catalan.
No.
No. What is that? Is that?
Well, Catalan. Look, Halifax give Catalan a game earlier on its season.
Yeah.
There was nothing in that. That were Challenge Cup as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is we're missing out on something here.
Yeah, it would have been.
I'm going to throw something else out. Do you think they changed the Challenge Cup anyway this year, didn't they? But it just seemed too early.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were throwing the Challenge Cup in right now.
No, it was early, but also I heard someone say the other day that like Hull KR won the Challenge Cup by basically playing. I think they played Batley, Oldham, and Warrington.
Yeah,
and they won the Challenge Cup. You know what I mean? Like that's an easy run, that, isn't it? A relatively easy run.
Yeah, it is.
You know, for a top flight Super League side. So you're saying it was early. Yes, it's early, but also seemed late, or it didn't seem like the depth of the teams were there. But anyway, it's a great story. We haven't got the Super 8, so it's a bit of a non-story. So back to Clickbait Walker again. Right, let's get into viewers' mailbag for this week. We've got a couple of cracking comments, and don't forget, it's sponsored by More Than a Game. More on those, Cal.
More Than a Game do bespoke pitch marking, so they will turn up at your community club, give you professionally marked out pitches that they use robots to do, and then they will also stencil sponsors onto your pitch, so you can sell the sponsorship on the side of your pitch, and these guys will come and do a professionally spray painted job on the pitch, which helps pay for the pitch marking as well. Genius idea.
I had visions then of stormtroopers like just walking down spraying the, you said like, are stormtroopers robots? I don't know.
No.
They're not?
No.
It's like people in a suit.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Right, okay, so let's get into viewers' mailbag. Carlos,
do you know sometimes you like think I need to be a bit more careful about what I say on this show?
I don't ever like, we don't like to mince our words, do we? But I certainly didn't expect this. It's funny because I saw this picture and like we just did this amazing, because as well as doing this show, we hire this space out to other podcasts, and we have a guy called Amit, and he has a rare disease that grows tumours on nerves. Anyway, he has like a prosthetic eye and all this, and he was having a conversation with this woman whose eye had literally melted off her face, and this incredibly inspirational story 1 minute, and then this freaking picture the next minute. And I'm also like, what is AI done to my head?
Here's Craig on the moon. It's aged you about 10 years.
Yeah.
With a pack of Watsits, Ellie Goulding. There you go.
But do you know the most disturbing thing in this picture, though? Right, it's not so much the swelling on my fat head there, and it's not so much the Watsits and all that. It's the look on Ellie Goulding's face. Right, could we not have got one that was like she was at least a little bit happy to be there?
I mean, for context, no one knows what we're on about, do they?
No, they don't. Right, so this is on the back of a story. We was talking about Josh Charnley, basically this fairy tale ending to his career where he would finish at Wigan, right? And there was a bit of a thing made about it. And I said, look, it's fairy tale. And I said, if my fairy tale, I'd eat Watsits. I'd have an industrial-sized bag of Watsits with Ellie Goulding sat on the moon or something like that. And this viewer, let's get his name up and give him some credit for this, Bradley Finnan created this incredible image. I love it. I just want to see more images like that for Clickbait Walker. Okay, so away you go, internet. Do your worst.
You've opened the right bag of worms here. I'm trying to think back what sort of shit I've said this week.
Oh, you've said some crap. Right, okay, let's move on to the next one then. I can't see it, Carl. You have to.
I'm going to read it.
Yeah, give it a read. I'm going to gigs.
This is from Chad, our mate in
nice.
USA. I'm a massive League and Union fan. This Rugby 360 thing doesn't sound interesting. Craig, I really like your "let's get into it" comment. Need some merch with that on. And then he just put kudos to Sammy and Kais Fatili. Makes me proud to be a Wakey fan. So yeah, I pulled that out just. For the for the Rugby 360 comment, really, the fact that he's got no interest in it, and he likes both Rugby League and Union.
Yeah, he's just a massive sports fan. Look, just a quick word on Chad. Chad, you speak to Chad quite a bit, don't you? Messages backwards and forwards. He's a guy who lives over there in the States and found Super League, found Rugby League, and he's just an absolute convert. He loves it. Like, be under no illusion that this sport, this great sport of ours, does transcend,
across the world, mate.
Across the world into different continents and all that kind of stuff. There are fans out there. We just need to find more of them, engage more of them. But thank you, Chad, for your comment there.
And he's a massive Wakey fan as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He's also put, so just last bit, he said, if England can pull off the Ashes, it'll inject a shot into English rugby. Love the banter.
Yeah, it will, won't it? If we can win this first Ashes in 22 years, then it's going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of stuff going on with the Australia team at the minute. There's a couple of players that are looking at defecting, including the Hammer. He's looking at perhaps going back to Samoa. The head coach position is all over the place. We're expecting news that Kevin Walters is going to be head coach, but for 3 games, which seems a bit weird. So anyway, more on that in the Williams Weekly later on in the show.
Right, second comment then is from Andrew Burkitt, 698 on YouTube. If any team in any sport at this stage of the season beat the top 2 and 4th place teams in consecutive weeks, then they must be considered as genuine contenders. That's the comment regarding Lee. We spoke about them. I was saying, are they genuine contenders now for the grand final? 100% they are, mate, especially after watching them at the weekend.
Yeah, they've got to be. And he's picked out the criteria, if you like. So you've got to sort of say, when you make a comment like that, are they genuine contenders? You've got to define what a genuine contender is. He's done that very, very well. If they beat, the top 2 sides, sitting 4th or whatever, then yes, 100% they are, of which we completely agree.
Right, comment from Rugby 190, and he's put, as a Wigan hater, I've learned not to write them off. And I think that just goes right back to our first story, and he's just hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, as always, thank you very much for your comments. We love reading. We try and read as many as we can. We're getting quite a lot now. But I love the pictures that are coming through. And don't forget, it's not just on YouTube. We have a thriving Twitter freaking channel as well, which Karl mans, so you can give him some crap on there. And some of the other social platforms as well.
See TikTok Williams.
Not that freaking it. Right, tackle 5. This is a really interesting one. I've just caught it before we started recording there, and Mickey McAlorum has picked up a coaching role for the 2026 season.
That doesn't surprise me too much because I think he still lives in France, doesn't he? I think he resides in France now, so it doesn't surprise me too much. However, who's head coach? Why would you pick an assistant coach before you pick a head coach?
Well, two Wigan buddies there, Joel Tompkins and Sam Tompkins. 3 Wigan buddies: Joel Tompkins, Sam Tompkins, and Mickey Mack. All Wigan buddies there, aren't they? So I don't know. Is
that the coaching crew then for next year? Because it hasn't been announced yet, has it?
No, it's not been announced. But we're also. Joel Tompkins certainly to the end of the season, isn't it? But there is also rumours that Mitchell Pearce is on the.
He's been seen around Catalan.
Oh, that's it then.
He's been at training. He's been at Catalan last couple of weeks. I think Mitchell Pearce actually lives south of France. Actually, I thought he was coaching a French Elite 1 side. I might have got that wrong, but I do think he's still in the south of France. Anyway, do I think it's a good move? It's hard to say, isn't it? I mean,
it's that transition from a good player, an iconic player, to a coaching role. It doesn't always transfer across. Just because you're a great player doesn't mean you're a great coach. However, sometimes it does. You know what I mean? There are some amazing.
Well, Bernard must have seen something in him if he wants to bring him back in the coaching setup when he's because it's definitely McAlorum's last year, isn't it? Playing this year at KR.
But yeah, it's definitely his last. Yeah. I don't know if it's his last time of playing. There seems to be a bit of a trend with you pull your boots on halfway through a season for the Catalan.
Yeah, well, Sam's done it, hasn't he? So, I mean,
couple of times.
Sam's going to be definitely retired at the end of this season, isn't he?
He's got to.
Right, Joel Tompkins then. If, we're talking about McAlorn. Joel Tompkins, do you think he should get the head coaching role?
I don't think he's got enough experience. I mean, they may be showing their hand a little bit, bringing Mickey Mack in as well. I don't know how many assistant coaches you could have. And maybe, like Joel Tompkins, will pick up the head coach position. I just don't think there's enough experience there. And like I say, this is, from me, a complete outsider. I know nothing about Joel Tompkins other than it weren't that long ago he stopped playing rugby, and he hasn't done anything mega, in a head coaching role since then. So I just don't think there's enough experience there for a club like Catalan.
But why would you announce an assistant coach if you don't have a head coach? Like, surely imagine if they're bringing a head coach from Australia or whatever, surely they're going to want to bring their own coaching setup with them. That's what usually happens.
No, you're right. I didn't think about that. I mean, I was kind of thinking, well, there's a process of recruiting a head coach, and maybe they're looking at who's available and who wants the job and all that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, what usually happens is a head coach comes in and goes, right, now they start putting their team together. Often they bring people with them, don't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right.
So maybe Joel Tompkins is getting the coaching role at Catalan. That's how I read that between the lines.
Yeah, maybe. Well, anyway, what do you think? Do you think Joel Tompkins is going to be their head coach, supported by Mickey Mack, or what? Or maybe you've got some inside information. We don't get enough inside information. We've got to be careful because people just feed us crap, and we'll say it on the video, and then we'll just get slated again.
Yeah.
So
get called morons.
Keep your secrets to yourself, unless you got evidence. Right, Karl, on to the Williams Weekly then. And this week, the question I want to pose, right, it's centred around this idea that Australia now have released, we're expecting an announcement.
Finally.
Finally expecting an announcement of a head coach for the Ashes series. And it is just for the Ashes series, if the rumours are to be believed. Kevin Walters, then former Brisbane Broncos and Queensland State of Origin coach, looks like he's going to pick up a 3-game job, if you like, for the Ashes series this year. My question then is...
I'm just going to interrupt you here. How good is this that they're so underprepared?
Well, it's not just that. There's also a couple of players that are looking like they're going to defect and go from Australia and start playing for some of the Pacific Islands like Samoa and that as well. The latest one being the Hammer. You know what I mean? Who is
big
an absolute
loss.
Weapon, isn't he?
Yeah, big loss.
So he's a huge loss.
He was all the difference when England played Australia in the last game, wasn't he? If he hadn't been playing, we may have won that game.
Yeah, may have. Right, so but my question is, should the international head coach's job be a standalone position, or should we allow club coaches to do it as a bit of a sideline? I'm laughing because just the idea of doing like an international head coach job as a sideline, you know what I mean? It does make me giggle.
But this is rugby league all over, isn't it? I mean, we've done both, haven't we, at England? We've had pretty much like full-time coaches. I think Steve McNamara was full-time England coach, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he got paid a full wage in a sport that hadn't got that much spare money lying around to coach 3 or 4 games a season.
But in the understanding that, or in the belief that investing into a full-time head coach would improve the performance on the pitch, do you think that actually transpired into reality?
No, it didn't, did it?
Not at that stage.
No, not at that stage of England. However, no, actually, I'm going to go back. I'll give Steve McNamara a bit of a credit because he seemed to introduce much better professional practices when he became the England coach. I think England did go up a notch when he became a full-time professional coach because he had time to look at absolutely every aspect of the game, didn't he? However, having said that, it is only 3 games, so it's a bit difficult. And what's your opinion on it?
I think it's too big a job for us to have like as it is like a little side job, because it's not even like, all right, it's the off season now. You've got the whole of the off season to prepare for an international. It like rolls straight from the main season into the internationals, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, Sean Wayne's kind of part time, isn't he? Because he's not head coach as such at the minute. He does work for Wigan, but he's not head coach, is he?
No. Sean Wayne's a bit of a funny one. because
he wears a Wigan tracksuit top to England training.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
I'm only joking.
No, you're not joking. But this is what he does, isn't it? It's bizarre. It's like, I don't know what his role is at Wigan, other than chief bloody...
I don't know what his role is, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's just a weird
He works at Wigan, that's all I know. He's not part of coaching setup, is he? He's backroom staff, but he's not coaching setup.
I don't know, but I'll tell you who will know. The viewers will know, and they'll stick it in the comments, no doubt. But anyway, so my take is it's got to be a full-time role. How you justify that with 3 games a year, I don't know. I also think you can have almost too much time to select a team. I think we're experiencing that right now. With Sean Wayne put the train-on squad out the other week, you know what I mean? And it's just like, there's some players there that are definitely not in form. Also, some comments. The comment that struck me when he said like Owen Trout, for example, was too lean. He's not heavy enough. He's not that he basically said he looks too weedy or whatever. My comparison is with like John Bateman. Like he loved John Bateman, but a similar kind of stature. I think Owen Trout's a bit taller, but similar kind of build.
Wayne was one that stripped all weight off John Bateman.
Mate, he's crackers.
He was, wasn't he? When Bateman was like knocking around at like Bradford and stuff like that, he had loads more weight on him. Went to Wigan. Wigan stripped him right down. So yeah, it's a weird comment for him to make. Is that?
My point is, it's almost like there's too much time. He's selecting his team on too big a time. If you zoomed in now to the last 3 months, like some of those players wouldn't be in there. Some of them because of injury.
100% they won't be there, and because he hasn't even included any Aussie-based players that are coming over. Like Herbie Farnworth, 100% he's going to be starting for England. So yeah, that train-on squad that he put together at the start of the season is just, like I say, it's not really worth the paper it's written on, because half of them won't be playing for England anyway.
So I've answered. You've got to answer. Do you think it should be a standalone job, or we should allow club coaches to have that international spot? Bearing in mind, it's only 3 games.
Well, I'm not in charge of finances, am I? So if I were in charge of finances, if I wasn't in charge of finances, like now, I'll just go, 100%, let's just have a full-time England position, and then we can be the best we can be. But we know that Rugby League isn't blessed with finances at the minute. So my opinion at the minute is no, there isn't enough international rugby. We should have a part-time position there.
Interesting, yeah. Interesting how we're both conflicting opinions there, really. But of course, I'd love to hear what your take on this is. Do you see any benefit of having a full-time national head coach, or do you think it could be done by a club coach as a little bit of a weekend cash in hand job?
Not cash in hand, fucking hell. No, let's see how it unfolds, really, and then we'll have the answer, won't we?
Yeah, we will. Okay, thanks for listening. As always, remember to hit subscribe, and if you do consider, or if you do want to become a member of the channel, there is a link down there in the description. Carl, any final afterburners? Yeah, keep an eye on the channel. We've got loads coming out in the next week or two, including the Championship show, including the Bedford Tigers video. Craig, have you finished that edit yet? Yeah, what edit?
We've got a Bedford Tigers behind the scenes video coming out, which is brilliant. We just got to finish it. It's not far off.
So until the next video, take care.